I didn't know how many students would be here. Students here in the world of publishing. I just read an article lately about, you guys send things out, trying to publish things. The world of chat books is very, very different. Sometimes they look like this and sometimes they look like this. And I just read an article about chat books coming back. And I thought, you know, I hope they're like this when you can actually feel the print and you run your finger and it's stitched together. But, you know, yeah, those were the days. So I just thought I would bring those to show you. Okay. Let us see here. I'm still reading from the manuscript Street Says Elsewhere, which, as I said, is the one that followed this one. Indian head applique. Do any of you know what that is? Indian head applique. Do we know what applique is? Okay. Indian head is a kind of fabric, so it's just the kind of fabric that you put on and applique being the process over which something's like, you see skirts made that way or something's done like applique. Aprons, this happened to be an apron. Indian head applique. Two women dream river currents, curving points. The fact of her held. Cut out her name. Hum it now. Habit of atonement. Their branching inlaid as one inlaid chair to be marked for dying. A circle so full of sewn, hemmed even, forward in its edges, in preparation for years to form a blueprint. I put my mouth as near, I use words downwards. Under pretext of music, the document gave names, disorders, birth defects, disfigurement as ailment. Carry me toward e-migration, iconoclast and mycolic. There are calls to prayer, intervening days, climate mild and more near, a different landscape, windswept, lack of wood and detailed temperature. At evening we collective on pretext of music. Suddenly, a second child in sketched muslin. It was a summer storm against your metronome. April thunder, a ballet piece. North cadence I am after, and lamplight indoors at evening. Simple geometry of movement, the petals to please you. Weather recombining, cold June, just remaindered, as if this were another place. Imagine that it is, in the panes, incandescence, strewn shapes, branches, in rain. The girl breathes deep. I studied dust, collection on recollection of dust, and thought of trees. The arsenic furnace. Questions of light at 4 a.m. and unchangeable heat. Is it unleavened bread only? Finger to hand, a promise. I weed the blue tiled walkway to stand an audible, radiant escape. By late morning, the household or portrait of older doorways is in alignment with the floorboards, with 3 fingers only children buried in the foundations of bridges, hymns of lost sight. As a woman cast new lace for a number of babies interred at the corners of various rooms, under giant tree roots, afternoon comes, feathers of sorrow, and bells and rain, again with autumn. At evening, who will stand to watch? Raiment of sea as a fixed token, wall of water. Wait against the spiked fence or stone doorstep by late morning. Dust as it is seen is swept inwards as a dream at noon. Okay. Let's see. And this is, again, from the same manuscript. I've basically published a whole book. It just isn't out in one book. It's in all these different places, but it's still kind of nice. All right, this is, don't tell me I haven't read this. Did I read? I've already read this. Did I read Call It Sky? Okay, you have those moments, right? Please tell me you do. Call it sky. Remember the hard earth and the ash which spreads. Call it sky. And so the green of summer and the name of blue, or false indigo. I remember the words etched into the panes of glass in a room of broken clocks, a closed room. No children come or will come, roots in the deepest well, or simply a flower. Retrace the spell of breath in a land promised as far as into my body. This empty house listens to the landscape, river noise, unnameable and autumn. We find here the Holy Ghost orchid and a bird from distances. Enter the skin of remoteness as the unborn, else a harvest. I witness the wall unlisting, pale yellow inside and past bare walls, bare windows. I long to pull out their drawers. What does the room? In her sleep, the placement of the moon above the chimney, making of real and unreal. Our dreams manifest memory, sister, girl, self, interspersed like watermarks. She was a child. When she was a child, it was the dream of the body, the other face, thrown into evening, moving in 2 small rooms. Through rain, the hawthorn, and far off footsteps. There are deserted walls, spaces behind chimneys of fever 5 days coming. You sing night hymns of pure water and abolished roads. St. Christopher, protect us in distant lands. Already the boat, eucalyptus boiling, call the smell onto a handful of leaves. How many nights they wash the head of the corpse with water in which basil leaves have been dropped. Of washrooms. There is an old custom of passing sickly children 9 times over and under a blackberry stem, rooted at both ends. Behind the still room lay the garden, house in whose ruins they were found. In another, blue bird set in a rocky landscape. One of the frescoes has a blue monkey. There's vetch, pancreatic lilies, and a woman walking up the dusty road, straight uphill. Wooden houses stand as near, bayberry and wild roses on the scattered farms, seaward windows in rows. Bird skin and cobweb truth accumulate as rain on leaf stalks. To name the canals, here in the place of the maple forest, I watched the water snakes, blue like April thunder. I called the moon of her unseen feet and the hills or streams in rain. This is weather, 6 years into silence and prayers, a glass face, becoming part of the forest. I will dream you seaward, so far and far. There are wild bees and a memory of old women stretching fabric. It is a small room. Their narrow hands, from cloth to wall, mark the edges. There is darkness below, a hidden side door. To see your own gray hands wrapping, warping, light veers under your fingernails. She sensed the direction of washrooms years ago, a 7-month birth, and moonlight up the wall.